So we have to be careful on this stuff because, right, so I go back, I like to use the cake example. And even just with adding the two together, not even necessarily subtracting. But let's say that I had this cut up into halves, and this one's cut up into fourths. And then maybe we have, this pan is full of half a cake, right here. And then this one's has a fourth filled in, right? So one pan, you got half of the cake. The other pan, you've got a fourth of a cake. And if you have this in your fridge, it's too much space, right? So you got to combine them. The question is, when you combine them, how much of a pan do you have filled? Now, some of you guys can do this one in your head, but we have to be careful on this because instinct tells us to take 1/2 and then add 1/4. Now, we get used to this, we'd say, well, I'd get 2/6 on that, okay? What did I do there? It's wrong. You should never do that. But again, our instincts kick in, we just start adding numbers, right? So I added the two numerators and I added the two denominators right there. Or even worse, perhaps I even averaged the two denominators out. And maybe you got 3 somehow, okay? Both of these are very bad because we didn't compare the same size pieces, right? So what that means, and I'm going to get rid of this so we don't have to look at that garbage. I need to take that half and make it the same size pieces as the smaller ones, okay? So I'm going to divide this one also into fourths. Now this one's pretty direct. We'll look at other ones a little differently. But now I'm comparing fourths, and now what I end up with is not a half, but this one is 2/4, and then this one is 1/4. So when I combine them, I end up with 3/4. Right? I could take that red piece and I could move it up into this part right here. And yeah, we can see that we emptied the one pan, we can clean that. And now we have one pan in the fridge which has 3/4 of a cake in it, or the pan. So what would be the result if you add 1/2 and 1/4 cups? It's the same idea that we did right there. You'd get 3/4 cups. How do we get the answer mathematically? Well, we changed the 1/2 into 2/4, and so we're adding the same size cups on this one to get the 3/4. So what does this have to do with the common multiples? Well, we'll show that on the next one instead of the models, even though I like models. So on this one, so remember in the last part of B8, we were looking at fractions to get common denominators, specifically the lowest common denominator. So on this one, we got the two numbers, 5 and 4, and we need to find common multiples for these. Now, we don't necessarily need the lowest common multiple. We just need any common multiple. But for this one will give us the lowest. So I'm going to scale these up. 5 plus 5 is 10, plus 5 is 15, plus 5 is 20, plus 5 is 25, plus 5 is 30. So hopefully this is enough, unlike that one from last time. 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 4 is 12, plus 4 is 16, plus 4 is 20. So there we go. We can see we got a common multiple of 20. So we need to make the denominators 20s right here. Again, that's to make the piece sizes the same so that we can combine them. So the 5, what did I have to multiply that by? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to multiply the 5 by 4 and the 3 by 4. Now the reason why we have to multiply the numerator as well as the denominator by the same thing is so that we get the same value as we had to start out with, okay? We're taking 3/5 and we're now splitting it up essentially into smaller pieces. You still have the same amount, but the size pieces are now smaller. So I would have 12 out of the 20 pieces. And then the 4 I've got to multiply by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to multiply the 4 by 5, but again the 1 by 5 as well, which gives me 5/20. So we're going to add these. See, now it's just like we did in 8-7 there, where the denominators are the same. So I'm looking at 20ths, and I'm adding the 12 and the 5, which would give me 17/20. 12 plus 5 is 17.
Yeah.
And we can't change this into a mixed number, so that's it.
I messed up on that one because
We're going to use the same method on this one as the last one. So we're looking for multiples of, or 4, 3, and then the 2 denominators there. So 3 is 6. 6 is even, so I know I can just scale 2 up into a 6. So the 3, though, I've got to multiply that by 2, and the 2 by 2, so that's 4/6. Again, we're looking at the same value there. 1/2, we're scaling this up by 3 because it takes 3 2s to get to 6. So the 1 will multiply by 3 as well, which gives us 3/6. And yes, we are adding these. So we got 6ths, and we're adding. I've got a 4 plus a 3, which gives me 7/6. But again, the homework seemed like they wanted the mixed numbers, so let's change this one. 7 divided by 6. Not everyone needs this, right? But 6 goes into 7 once. Minus the 6, we got 1 remaining. So my final answer, 1 with 1 remaining out of 6. As it turns out, we don't really need lists all the time. But using this method may require simplifying in the end. So for this one, what we're going to do is we're just going to multiply one fraction by the denominator of the other one. This way we don't have to list any multiples. We know that by doing this we will get common denominators. Here's why. So for example, I've got a 2 here. Now you don't have to like this method, so if you like the other one, that's fine. I've got this 2, which means I'm going to multiply the other fraction, numerator and denominator, by that denominator, 2. Now here I've got a 5, so I'm going to multiply the 1/2, numerator and denominator, by 5. This automatically, every time, no matter which numbers you have, will give you common denominators. So in red here I've got 2 times 4 is 8, and then 2 times 5 is 10. And then in purple there we got 2 times 5 again, which is 10, so there's our common denominators. 1 times 5 is 5, and we're adding these together. Alright, so I got this 10th, and I'm adding the 8 and the 5, which would give me 13/10. Now if I take away 10 of those, I would have 3 left out of the 10, so maybe you guys. So let's try that method on number 4 here. So again, I'm going to take that 6 and multiply it into the 2 and the 4. So that gives me 12/24. And I'm going to take the 4 and multiply it by the 6 and the 3. So I got 12/24. That's nifty. Because now we got 24ths, we're adding, we got the 12, and this other 12 combined, that gives us 24/24. And anything divided by itself is 1. That turned out pretty convenient. So let's do this one. So again, if we use that method, I'm going to take the 6 and the 5 and multiply those by 8. Now, some of you knew from your work that 24 would be a lowest common denominator, which is fine. But that may take a little extra thought and even some intuition on your part. But this gives us common denominators right away, and then we'll just have to simplify in the end. So this would give us 40/48. And again, we got 48 still, but 3 times 6 is 18. So when we add these, we've got 48. We're adding 40 and 18, which gives us 58/48. Now at this point, several of you kind of split off in this direction. So some of you changed this into a mixed number and then simplified. Some simplified this and then changed it into a mixed number. The process doesn't matter because the answer should be the same. I'm going to simplify these first, which would give me 29, 24ths, yeah. Which is the same as 1 and 5/24ths. So I saw some of you had 1 and 10/48ths. That would simplify into 5/24ths. So again, you should get the same answer either way.
Apologize in advance for this.
All right, on this one we're going to do a little bit different, and here's why, is because 9 is a multiple of 3. So I'm going to keep that fraction the same. I'm going to keep that 7/9, and I'm just going to scale the 3 up into a 9. So to do that, I would multiply the 3 by 3. Now, I'm kind of using common multiples on this. I'm just not using the list. So that would give me 6/9. And adding these together, I've got the 9ths. 7 of them plus 6 of them would give me 13/9. Which, as a mixed number, would give me 1. And then I'd have 4 of the 9ths. So we could list the multiples. As it turns out, it's the same in this case as multiplying by the other denominator in each fraction. So this one gives us 9/15. And then we got 5/15. Subtracting though, so we're looking at 15ths subtracted. I've got 9 minus 5, which is 4/15. And we could try to simplify this, but they have no common factors to divide by. So that's it. Yeah, well, that we love so much. All right, so let's multiply the 8 and the 7 by 3. So we get 21/24ths. The 3 and the 2 by 8. So now we got 16/24ths. This is subtraction. So I'm taking 24ths and I'm subtracting 16 from 21. And this leaves me with 24ths still, but 21 minus 16 is 5. Now we could try to simplify this, but 24 is not a multiple of 5. We can't divide these by the same number to simplify it. So that's it. So on this one, we got those 12ths, and as it turns out, we don't need to multiply the 4 by 12. We can make the 4 12 because 12 is a multiple of 4, specifically times 3. So to simplify this one, it'll go a little bit faster this way. We got 3/12 subtracted from 5/12. So I still got 12ths, but 5 minus 3 is 2. Both of these are even, so we can divide them both by 2, which gives us 1/6. All right, so 17. We could find the lowest common multiple, which may make this a little bit easier, but I'm going to go with the same method we have been using so that, again, we get a little more practice with it. So the 15, I'm going to multiply that by 6. So I got to multiply the 14 by 6. So this would be 84 over 90. I'm going to multiply the 6 by 15. Again, that's to get the same denominator of 90, but 1 times 15 as well. So I got 15 there. Subtract. Now, of course, we didn't have to use 90. You may have used 30 or even 60. But using this method, again, will take us directly to a common denominator. So we are dealing with 90ths, and we're subtracting. I've got 84 minus 15, which leaves us with 90ths, but let's see, what is that? All right, so I got 69 90ths. Both of these are divisible by 3, right? Because 9 plus 0 is 9, and 6 plus 9 is 15. So both those are divisible by 3, which gives me 23 30ths. And that's as far as I can take that. Same concept on this one. So 13 is an unusual number, though, right? So multiplying this, the idea is still the same, though. Still going to multiply the 13 and the 2 by 3. So I got 6 and 39. And then I'm going to multiply the 3 by 13 and the 2 by 13. Again, that is to get a common denominator of 39. But now I got 26 right here. This one's nice because it's addition. So out of my 39ths, I've got 6 plus 26, which is 32. We can split the 32 up into a bunch of 2's, but the 39 splits up into 13 and 3. So that looks like that is as far as we can simplify that. I could show it, right? I mean, 32 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And then 39 was 3 and 13. No common factors to cancel out right there. So that's it.